Hello everyone. Today we are going to deal with the topic locomotion and movement. But before moving on, we must know that what is the basic difference between locomotion and movement. So, locomotion means movement or the ability to move from one place to another. Like organisms can move from one place to another, that means they show locomotion. But when we are standing at one place and when we are moving our hand only, that shows act of moving, and that is not called locomotion, but it is known as movement. So there are two important things. One is locomotion and another one is movement. When we talk about organisms which move from one place to another, that simply means they are showing locomotion. Whereas when we talk about plants show growth in a particular direction, but they don't move from one place to another. That means they show movement. When we talk about movement and locomotion, different types of organisms exhibits different locomotion. For example, when we talk about unicellular organisms, which are the simplest form, they show movement through streaming of cytoplasm. There are some organisms which show movement through their cilia and flagella, whereas animals move their body parts like limbs, jaws, and tentacles when they have to move from one place to another. Similarly, locomotion helps these organisms in walking, running, flying, and swimming. There is very good one example, that is of paramecium. When we talk about paramecium, they have got cilia which helps in movement of food into their cytopharynx, and that is also used for locomotion. That means cilia is used for movement of food as well as for locomotion. Similarly, on the other hand, Hydra uses its tentacles to capture food. And when we talk about human beings, they use their limbs to change the posture of the body as well as they use it for locomotion. So, when we talk about cells in our body, our cells inside our body also shows four basic types of movements. They are amoeboid movement, ciliary movement, muscular movement, and flagellar movement. So there are cells which shows amoeboid movements are macrophages and leukocytes, and their basic function is phagocytosis, that is killing foreign cells. So the type of movement they show is amoeboid movement. Then another one is ciliary movement. The ciliary movement is shown by or exhibited by cells of those organs which are hollow and tubular. So internally these organs are lined by ciliated epithelium. When we talk about muscular movement, third type of movement, then movements of jaws, limbs, eyelids, etc. All these organs shows muscular movements as they involve striated muscles, that is skeletal muscles. And similarly, we have got smooth muscles in our internal organs, which shows involuntary movements like alimentary canal, and as well as for movement of urine in ureters, smooth muscles are required. So this shows this is only through muscular movement. Last one is flagellar movement, and this flagellar movement is exhibited by sperms, which helps in they help in swimming in the female reproductive tracts of humans. So they show flagellar movement. So basic four types of movements are shown by the cells of human body. One is amoeboid movement, ciliary movement, muscular movement, and flagellar movement. Now let's move on to the types of muscles in our body. We know that muscle is a very specialized tissue which helps in locomotion, and it arises from the germinal epithelium, that is mesoderm. And this muscles helps in locomotion because of special properties possessed by it, like excitability, contractility, extensibility, elasticity. That means muscles can show special properties. They are excited, they show contraction, they are very elastic in nature. Now, on the basis of muscles location, their appearance, and their function, they can be classified or categorized into 3 different categories. Now, these different categories are known to all of you, as you have read in your previous classes, but we are recalling it here. First one is skeletal muscle, second one is visceral muscle, and third one is cardiac muscle. We all know that skeletal muscle is also known as striated muscle. Visceral muscle is also known as smooth muscle or non-striated muscles. And the third one is known as cardiac muscles. Now let's move on to the first one. We know that striations are very prominent in skeletal muscles. And these striations are light and dark bands. And we know that these muscles are close to our bones, so they help in voluntary function, or we can say that they perform function voluntarily. And these cells are multinucleates and fibers are cylindrical. Here you can see that fibers are cylindrical and cells are multinucleate, but these fibers are unbranched. And these skeletal muscles are mostly found in muscles of limbs, and it helps in locomotion. Then comes visceral muscles. They are also known as smooth muscles, and they are also known as non-striated muscles. And obviously the name itself is describing that they are non-striated because striations are absent, they are involuntary in function, and cells are uninucleate. Here you can see shape of the cells also. They are not cylindrical, but they are spindle shaped. And these smooth muscles are involuntary in function, and they are mostly found in our internal organs or visceral hollow organs. The third one is cardiac muscle. Name itself is describing that these muscles are found in heart. And heart doesn't require any will, that means it doesn't require any kind of excitation, and it functions on its own, so it is involuntary in function. Here striations are faint, cells are uninucleate, fibers are cylindrical branched, and also show intercalated discs, and they are present in heart muscles, which helps in pumping of blood. Now moving on to the structure of skeletal muscles. Now we know that the skeletal muscle helps in locomotion, and if you will look at the structure, you will find that number of muscle cells, or we can say fibers, here you can see in this picture fibers are present, which are grouped into bundles, and each bundle here is known as fascicle. And these bundles, if we want to keep a bundle, then obviously we have to cover it with something, then only it will be kept in a group. Similarly, here also these muscle bundles are covered with connective tissue, and connective tissue is known as fascia. And each muscle bundle contains muscle fibers, and these muscle fibers are covered with membrane. Like each cell has cell membrane, they have got membrane, and it is known as sarcolemma. And each cell contains, or we can say it encloses cytoplasm, which is called as sarcoplasm. and as their function is to contract and then again expand, so we can say that these contains, or we can say sarcoplasm or cytoplasm or such cells contains large number of mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, and they also contains large number of protein fibers which are called as myofibrils or myofilaments. Now this picture is very clear, where you can see that each protein fiber contains light and dark bands. That is why they look or appear as if they have got striated appearance. Now in this picture we can see that the light bands are present, and these light bands are known as actin, and the other ones are known as myosin, which are dark bands. So every myofibril contains light and dark bands. Light bands are called actin, and they are also known as I band or isotropic band, and the dark bands are called as myosin, and they are also known as A bands or N-isotropic bands. And in the center of each I band, it contains a Z line. This Z line is that line where actin filaments attaches themselves, and the portion of myofibril between two Z lines is known as sarcomere, and this sarcomere is the functional contractile unit. In resting stages, the thin filaments on the other side of the A band partially overlaps the free ends of thick filament, and the part which is not overlapped by the filaments is known as H zone. So this is the basic structure of skeletal muscle, and this picture is itself describing and further we will study in the structure of contractile proteins, where we will discuss about the skeletal muscle. Thank you.